Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Column, when will enough be enough? Where's the fight? There's no pushback at all. This does not look like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They look uninspired. Unfocused. Those were the phrases used on the Amazon Prime broadcast about the Steelers as they fell in yet another deep hole in a playoff game on the way to yet another embarrassing playoff loss to end yet another late-season collapse to end yet another disappointing season. Upon a second glance, one of those statements, that this does not look like the Pittsburgh Steelers uttered by Kirk Herbstreit as Baltimore was racking up over 300 first-half yards on the highest-paid defense in the NFL on the way to a 21-0 lead, is not accurate. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers the last decade under Mike Tomlin. Towards the end of Big Ben's career, the finger got pointed at him for being too beyond his prime. The team obviously missed on his replacement with Kenny Pickett, and last year it was Mason Rudolph starting the playoff game. They went out and brought in a Super Bowl winner in Russell Wilson, and what happened on the field in the first half Saturday night was even worse than with an aging Ben and an inexperienced Mason Rudolph in his first playoff game. The playoff failures have been under different offensive coordinators. The defense, with different parts and pieces and coordinators in each of the flameouts, got torched again. And again. And again. The only thing that hasn't changed is the man at the top, and the end result. At some point, even for an organization that has notoriously not fired coaches, enough has to be enough. Mike Tomlin, I believe, is a good coach and a good man. But, good coaches run their course. Better coaches have been let go other places for far fewer disappointing flameouts than the Steelers have had in the last decade. In another early hole, now outscored 73-0 in the first quarter of 6 straight playoff losses, Tomlin refused to go for a fourth down and less than a yard. Down 21-0 and getting manhandled in every aspect, with an offense that hasn't looked good in over a month, he marched Wilson back on the field and left Justin Fields, who had the team at 4-2 as a starter earlier in the season and would at least give a different look, maybe light a spark, stand on the sidelines for the last month plus. The defense got dominated in the trenches. Baltimore had a scoring drive that was all running plays, more than a dozen of them, no passes, right down the throats of the once proud Steelers defense. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. When I was growing up, that was unthinkable. Embarrassing. The offense did finally get something going to start the second half. Wilson showed some life for 2 drives that quickly faded right back away, and what happened? The defense gave up a 44-yard TD run to break the backs once again. Why Ravens are Super Bowl favorite after smacking Steelers. The Baltimore Ravens continued their recent run of dominant form with a decisive 28-14 victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2025 NFL playoffs. Head coach John Harbaugh's team will now visit Orchard Park to take on a red-hot Buffalo Bills team in a battle of the heavyweights. To win their 3rd Super Bowl in franchise history, Baltimore will likely have to run the gauntlet. However, the Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and the rest of the team are ready for this challenge as the Ravens' performance on Saturday night reflected how they will be a tough out this postseason. Baltimore's offense made franchise history on the ground, rushing for 299 yards. That total set a single-game franchise record and was the most Pittsburgh has ever given up in a playoff game. Going in, the Steelers had the 6th best rushing defense, giving up 98.7 yards a game during the regular season. Lamar Jackson looked poised against the franchise's biggest rival. The 2-time MVP completed 16 of 21 passes for 2 touchdowns while rushing for 81 yards. The greatest dual-threat quarterback of all time has won everything in the sport except for the one piece of hardware he wants the most, a Super Bowl ring. And Jackson has a very good chance of walking away with the sport's greatest prize. Here are a few reasons why the Baltimore Ravens are the Super Bowl favorite this postseason. Only once has Lamar Jackson operated a Baltimore offense that has averaged more points per game than this squad. That came in 2019 when the Ravens put up 33.2 points per game. However, the offense that year had a series of flaws. First off, it was way too reliant on Lamar Jackson. That's no slight to the Baltimore star at all. You don't see other all-time great quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have to lead their teams in passing and rushing while working without a true number one wide receiver. The Buffalo Bills have dealt with a similar conundrum with Josh Allen over the years. Like Jackson, the Bills' leader under center has often had to put on a cape to carry an offense whose flaws emerge in the postseason. However, that is not the case for the Ravens in 2024. While Jackson had an incredible regular season, he now has a ton of weapons that can be leaned on throughout the postseason. That includes running back Derrick Henry, who joined the franchise this offseason. The former Titans superstar has had a spectacular season with the Ravens. Henry has pulled off wild statistical feats throughout the year, rushing for 1921 yards and 16 touchdowns. That trend of dominance continued on Saturday as the five-time Pro Bowler racked 186 yards and 2 scores, showcasing that this offense does not lean too heavily on one player like it did in the past. On the outside, Jackson has a way better receiving core than in years past. The one thing to watch is the status of wide receiver Zay Flowers. The second-year wideout has emerged as a legit WR1 but was out the wild-card clash with a knee sprain. Getting Flowers back is essential for the Ravens' chances of beating 3 straight elite teams this postseason. Overall, the Baltimore Ravens are riding a 6-game winning streak and playing their best football at the most important time of the season. Lamar Jackson and company are making strides with every playoff appearance and look primed to take that next step. This Baltimore team has flaws, but previous eliminations in this era have been mainly due to lackluster offensive performances. The combination of Jackson, Henry, an elite offensive line, and a solid receiving core make the possibility of that happening very low. Having to win at Buffalo and possibly Kansas City significantly limits this team's margin for error. Still, throughout this year, the Ravens have shown the ability to win different types of games. That versatility, combined with the chip on its shoulder, makes Baltimore the NFL's Super Bowl favorite. Skip Bayless pleas for Steelers to trade coach Mike Tomlin to Cowboys. Skip Bayless has made his feelings known on who he wants the next Dallas Cowboys coach to be and did so as only he can, with an all-caps plea on social media. Since the Pittsburgh Steelers lost in Saturday night's wild-card round game against the Baltimore Ravens, speculation has grown surrounding head coach Mike Tomlin's future in Pittsburgh. Chase Daniel wondered on Saturday night that Cowboys owner Jerry Jones may be dragging his feet in contract talks with Mike McCarthy, whose contract expires on Tuesday, thinking that Tomlin may become available. Similarly, before Sunday's game between the Green Bay Packers and Philadelphia Eagles, Jimmy Johnson floated the idea of the Cowboys and Steelers swapping coaches. Ryan Ruocco on the bond between him and his broadcast partners, incorporating family into work that's music to Bayless' ears. Bayless, who rarely misses a chance to make his love of the Cowboys known, took to X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday, literally begging for the Steelers to send Tomlin to Dallas. "Please, Steelers, please trade Mike Tomlin for Mike McCarthy. Pretty please," he said. We do have some unfortunate news for Bayless. Jerry Duloc of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reported on Sunday that the Steelers aren't likely to move on from Tomlin. Despite a widespread public outcry and another embarrassing early exit from the postseason, the Steelers are not planning to make any move involving coach Mike Tomlin, according to team sources, Duloc wrote. After losing their 6th consecutive postseason game and being one and done for the 8th time under Tomlin, the Steelers will apparently attempt to fix their recurring problems with solutions that don't involve their 18-year head coach. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Mike Tomlin? Leave your opinion in the comments.